Congratulations to start off with the winning of the Best Album, the Toy Awards.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, how did you get into jazz yourself?
My father, Nathan Haines, is a jazz bass player, and he actually played this festival in the 60s. And I have a record at home from 1969 of him playing with Frank Gibson and a few other guys. And it was sponsored back then by Benson and Hedges. So that was when cigarette sponsorship and jazz, cigarettes and jazz sort of went together.
Yeah.
So I grew up with this record, and I first came to this festival in 1985 at the age of 13, and I was awarded Most Outstanding Young Jazz Musician. And then I just, I think by the age of 13 I was already very much into playing. I started on flute when I was 6 years old, started on recorder when I was 4, graduated to flute, and then started playing tenor saxophone, which I play today, at the age of 13. I didn't play tenor saxophone at this festival because I'd only been playing a few months. I was playing flute. So, and it's taken me around the world and again and again and again. So that's what I've been doing.
Right, so would you call the Tauranga Jazz Festival your first big break, or did you have another one that's more memorable?
No, I think this was my first. This is one of my first big breaks. There was also a festival in Auckland that I played at in the same year when I was 13. And I got to meet a lot of older musicians and hang out and should we turn those lights back on?
Yes, please, if we can.
Cool.
So can you tell us a little bit about the new album, Poets Embrace, that you were selling today?
Well, actually, the Poets Embrace came out last year, and my new album called Vermilion Skies came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So do you want to know about the Poets Embrace?
The new one, please.
The new one. Okay, well, I'll tell you about them both. I guess the big difference with the Poets Embrace and with my latest record, Vermilion Skies, is that it was recorded all together, all in the same room, and on analogue equipment. The Poets Embrace was actually recorded direct to 2-track with no mixing, so from a technical point of view it means you can't fix anything later.
Yeah.
So everything is recorded live to 2-track. The only thing you can fix later is maybe a bit of EQ. You can't say, oh, I don't like that bit of piano, or the sax is too loud. You can't change any of that. So that's how jazz records were made in the 50s and 60s, before the invention of multi-track recording.
Yeah.
With Vermilion Skies, we actually recorded it and then mixed it afterwards. Put a few different things on. I did my vocals. I'm singing on Vermilion Skies.
Yeah. I listened to a bit of it, and I watched an interview on YouTube about you talking about it, and you said you were a little bit, what's the word? You were a little bit worried about using your own vocals.
Not really worried. I mean, to be honest, I've sung on all my records apart from the Poets Embrace. I've always sung a jazz song. I've sung, but I guess it's more out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it, and I really enjoyed playing last night and singing your own material, because I'm telling my own stories. So it's just a purely technical level. It's out of my comfort zone, like I said, because I've been playing my whole life an instrument, and to not have an instrument means that you're just there very naked.
Yeah. So we're focusing on the youth side this year, and we're just wondering what is some good advice that you can give to youth jazz performers to get their big break or get out there?
Well, not just jazz performers. I mean, I think jazz is a very narrow band of music, but for anybody who's into music, I think number one would be to practice. You have to be serious with your intention. In other words, you can't just sort of go out there and think that you're going to learn everything and just blow the world away. I think it's important to remain humble and to really try and hang out with more experienced and older people who can help you in your journey, because it's a very long journey, and there's a lot of instant gratification in our culture these days. I mean, when I was growing up, there was not even emails. You know what I mean? There was MTV. There was no sort of internet culture where you could just. So you had to find out things. To find out things took a long time. So for someone growing up today, they have an amazing wealth of stuff online. If you just Google Miles Davis, John Coltrane, then you've got all these amazing YouTube videos for free. So the thing that can be difficult is that there's too much information. So that's where the hanging out with older, more experienced people can come in. And you just got to practice, man. You've got to hang out with people who are better than you and practice and really and sort of realise that it's a lifetime thing if you're going to be in music. It's not. Particularly the sort of music I play. It's not pop music. Nothing wrong with pop music. I love pop music.
Yeah.
Not all pop music, but you know, I love all sorts of music. I love music. I don't just love jazz. I love music, and there's a big, huge world of music out there, and it's there for the taking, you know. But it does take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of dedication.
Yeah.
And if you're not dedicated, and if you're not willing to practice, and if you're not willing to put the hours in, if you just want instant glory and fame, then it's not for you. You know, you do something else.
So you got to put the time in.
You've got to put the time in, man. It's like, you know, if you can't expect to be, you know, an amazing rugby player or athlete or anything just overnight. It takes a huge amount of work, you know, and any professional sports person will tell you it's the same thing. It's just you and your coach and the hours, and it's the same with music. You know, it can be you and your teacher, or just you and doing the hours and hours and hours and hours. But with that comes a love of what you're doing, and I'm part of a tradition. I'm part of the jazz tradition, but also a part of the music tradition. And it's, you know, it's taken me my whole life to realise that I am actually part of that, and that comes from just spending a lot of time doing it and doing the practice and doing the gigs, and you know, and trying to remain humble and remain having your elders there is very important. I think in anything you do, having your teachers and your coaches, you know, it's really important.
Cool. So, just wondering, what are your plans after the Jazz Festival? Are you staying around in Tauranga doing some more gigs, or staying in New Zealand, or are you off overseas again?
Well, I live in London. My wife and I live in London, and so I am touring this record around New Zealand. So next week I've got Christchurch Jazz Festival, and then Nelson, and then I've got my album launch in Auckland. So I'm recreating the whole album with all the big 12-piece, 13-piece band. And a few more gigs, and then I'm off to play the Kuala Lumpur Jazz Festival on April the 28th, and then back to London, and I've got my first gig in London on May the 10th, and the Poets Embrace comes out in London on May the 15th, 2013. So I'm sort of working two things at the same time, because I got the deal with Warner's last European summer, and then it sort of got to about October, and they went, you know what, it's too late to put it out now, let's, you know, so, well, that's the way it works sometimes, different territories, the albums come out at different times, you know. So yeah, I'm just going to keep going, man. I'm going to be promoting the Poets Embrace in Europe, which would be really fun with my European band, and also just making another record, you know, continue to make music, and you know, it's album number 9 for me. So album number 10. Next year will be album number 10. Next year will also be 20 years since I made my first record, which was called Shift Left in 1994. And I also got, it's funny because I got an award for that record in 1994. So sort of got this 20-year thing. You know. So yeah, just and hopefully I'll be back in New Zealand next summer. I'll hopefully do some. If they want to have me back, I'd love to be here.
Cool. So thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.